Apple gave the MacBook Neo a gorgeous design, a punchy A18 Pro chip, and exactly 2 USB-C ports to do everything with. That math falls apart the moment a monitor, a hard drive, and a charger all want a home at the same time. These are the 5 best MacBook Neo USB hubs. The Ugreen Revidoc Pro 109 is what happens when a brand decides to stop holding back and throws every useful port into a single hub without asking anyone to take out a second mortgage. 9 connections live on this thing, and the lineup reads like a wish list for anyone who actually uses their laptop for real work. There is 4K HDMI at 60 Hz for a sharp external display, Gigabit Ethernet for rock-solid wired networking, 100-watt pass-through power delivery, a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 port clocking 10 gigabits per second, a USB-A 3.2 Gen 2 port at the same speed, 2 additional USB-A 3.0 ports running at 5 gigabits for mice and keyboards, and both SD and micro SD slots that handle modern UHS 1 cards without complaint. That breakdown matters because it means the 2 fastest ports handle the heavy lifting like external SSDs, while the 2 standard USB-A ports cover everyday peripherals without competing for bandwidth. The braided USB-C cable connecting the hub to the Neo is the little detail that signals Ugreen's intentions here. It resists tangling, it survives being stuffed into bags week after week, and it tells anyone looking that this is built to be used hard rather than babied. The aluminum shell stays surprisingly cool even during heavy file transfers, which is more than can be said for some hubs that turn into hand warmers under load. Ugreen backs the Revidoc Pro 109 with a 2-year warranty, and the hub works out of the box with Mac OS, Windows, Linux, iPad OS, and Chrome OS with no drivers required. Photographers and videographers in particular will recognize how much friction this hub removes from a workflow. Pulling a card out of a camera, dropping footage onto an external SSD, and joining a video call to review the work no longer requires 3 separate adapters and a tangle of cables. It is a workhorse wrapped in a polished finish, and that combination is harder to find than it should be in this category. The Hyperdrive Next 10 port takes the premium route and earns the title with a spec sheet that reads like it was written by someone tired of compromise. The headline feature is the 4K HDMI output at a true 60 Hz, which matches the Anchor and Ugreen, but where Hyper pulls ahead is in the details surrounding it. The SD and micro SD card slots are SD 4.0 compatible, supporting transfer speeds up to a theoretical 312 megabytes per second. That is roughly 3 times faster than the UHS 1 readers found on most competing hubs, which top out around 104 megabytes per second. For anyone dumping large batches of raw photos or 4K video clips from a camera, that speed difference translates to real minutes saved every single session. The pass-through charging port supports PD 3.1 at up to 140 watts, offering 40% more power headroom than the standard 100 watts most other hubs cap at. The Neo itself does not need anywhere near that wattage, but the extra overhead means the hub will never struggle to keep the laptop charged, even while powering multiple peripherals simultaneously. Beyond charging and cards, the port count fills out with 2 USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 ports at 10 gigabits, 1 USB-A at 10 gigabits, another USB-A at 5 gigabits, Gigabit Ethernet, and a 3.5mm combo audio jack for headsets that do not use Bluetooth. Hyper also deserves credit for the sustainability angle. The hub is built with 100% recycled aluminum and 85% recycled plastic, which does not affect performance, but is a nice detail for buyers who factor that into purchasing decisions. The construction feels closer to Apple's own accessories than most competitors manage, with rounded edges and a heft that suggests serious engineering rather than a hollow shell with a metal sticker. The buyer for this hub has a clear profile. Picture someone building a permanent desk setup with a 4K monitor, a mechanical keyboard, a webcam, and an audio interface, all running through a single connection back to the Neo. That setup demands a hub that will not become the bottleneck, and the Hyperdrive Next is built for exactly that scenario. The A18 Pro Hub Slim takes a completely different approach and aims squarely at people who care about how their gear looks sitting next to the laptop. A18 has built a reputation on accessories that mirror Apple's industrial design, and this hub is a textbook example. It connects directly into both USB-C ports on the side of the MacBook, sitting flush against the chassis like it was always meant to be there. No cable, no dangling dongle, just a clean extension of the machine. The body is under 5 inches long and barely over an inch wide, weighing a featherlight 1.4 ounces. It comes in silver, midnight, and space gray to color match whatever Neo finish is sitting on the desk. Despite the slim profile, the port selection covers what most people actually reach for. There is a 4K HDMI output at 60 Hz, a USB 4 pass-through port supporting up to 100-watt charging and 40 gigabit per second data transfer, 2 USB-A 3.2 Gen 2 ports delivering 10 gigabit speeds, a dedicated USB-C data port, and SD plus micro SD readers that handle UHS 1 cards at up to 104 megabytes per second. The trade-off for that flush design is the absence of Ethernet, so anyone who relies on a wired connection daily should look elsewhere. The other thing to watch for is heat. Because the hub sits right against the laptop body with no airflow gap, it can get warm during heavy use, though Satechi has built in a thermal disconnect that kicks in above 40 degrees Celsius to protect both the hub and the machine. For everyone who does not need wired internet, the appeal is hard to argue with. Imagine pulling the Neo out of a backpack at a co-working space, clicking the Pro Hub Slim into place, and suddenly having a monitor, a card reader, and a charging connection all running through something that looks like Apple could have designed it in-house. It is the hub equivalent of a tailored jacket. Function is there, but presentation matters just as much. The Belkin Connect USB-C 7-in-1 multi-port adapter rounds out the list as the safe, confident choice for anyone who values brand trust and warranty support over chasing the longest spec sheet. Belkin has been making accessories for Apple devices longer than most of its competitors have existed, and that history translates into hubs that simply work without drama or driver headaches. The 7 ports cover every realistic daily need, and then some. There is 4K HDMI at 60 Hz, 2 USB-A 3.2 Gen 2 ports running at 10 gigabits per second, a USB-C port supporting 100-watt pass-through power delivery, and SD plus micro SD card readers. The standout specification hiding in that list is the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, which is faster than the standard gigabit Ethernet found on every other hub in this roundup. For anyone with a fast home internet plan or a local network that moves large files between machines, that extra bandwidth is immediately noticeable. The hub connects via a tethered 8.6-inch USB-C cable, which keeps the adapter close to the laptop without adding clutter, and the whole thing works plug-and-play on Mac OS and Windows with no software to install. The compact rectangular design sits flat on a desk without rocking or sliding, and the silver aluminum finish blends in with the Neo's aesthetic rather than clashing against it. Belkin also includes FreeDock utility software for enhanced network security, and backs the adapter with a 2-year warranty plus customer service that has an actual reputation for responding. There is something to be said for buying once and forgetting about it, and that is the energy this hub gives off the moment it comes out of the box. It is not the flashiest option here, not the one with the most ports, and not the one that will win a spec sheet showdown on paper, but it is the one most likely to still be running smoothly 3 years down the road without a single hiccup. And sometimes that reliability is worth more than an extra USB-A port that never gets used. The Anker 555 USB-C hub is the one to beat if a single accessory needs to handle almost everything thrown at it. 8 ports live inside a slim aluminum shell that measures just 0.6 inches thick and weighs only 4.4 ounces, making it easy to forget it is even in a bag until the moment it is needed. The layout has clearly been thought through by someone who has actually used a laptop with limited connectivity. There is a 4K HDMI output running at a full 60 Hz for buttery smooth external displays, gigabit Ethernet for anyone who refuses to trust hotel Wi-Fi, full-size SD and micro SD card slots for photographers, 2 USB-A ports, a USB-C data port, and 100-watt power delivery pass-through so the Neo keeps charging while the hub does its job. Every USB data port on this hub runs at 10 gigabits per second thanks to USB 3.2 Gen 2, which means transferring a large video file to an external SSD takes seconds instead of minutes. The hub itself reserves about 15 watts to operate, so around 85 watts actually reach the laptop. But that is more than enough to charge the Neo at full speed considering the machine sips power with its efficient A18 Pro chip. Picture a typical Tuesday afternoon. A second monitor is running spreadsheets, an external drive is backing up the morning's work, a wired keyboard is plugged in for serious typing, and the Neo is still topping itself off in the background. The Anker 555 handles every piece of that scenario without hesitation. Anker backs it with an 18-month warranty, and with over 8,000 reviews and a 4.3-star average, the track record speaks for itself. For anyone who wants one purchase to solve the connectivity puzzle which one of these hubs fits the way the Neo gets used most? Drop a comment below and let us know whether the priority is travel, home office, or creative work, because the right pick depends entirely on the answer.